My name's Adkins-Manuel. I'm a fourth-year electrical engineering student at the University of Cincinnati. I'm 21 and I'm from Springfield, Ohio.
My name is Nathan Oliver. I'm 21. I'm an electrical engineer at the University of Cincinnati, and I'm also from Springfield, Ohio.
We went to high school together for 4 years and then decided that we were both going to be engineers and both go to UC. So then we figured we might as well just room together instead of having a random roommate assignment. So I think we've known each other for a total of it's probably almost 10 years now.
Springfield in the past was rough. Definitely wasn't the place you wanted to be. It was, when we were in high school, our junior year, I think, it was voted into the top 5 of most depressing cities to live in Ohio. It was also in the top 3 of the most dangerous cities to live in Ohio.
I don't even know what the crime rate for robberies is in Springfield. I know at one point it was there was a shooting for 1 in every 4 people in Springfield. There was another sort of violent crime for 1 in every 7 people in Springfield. So it just kind of started skyrocketing the further we went into our life.
The way you can tell the different sectors of Springfield are the roads. All the really nice, rich neighborhoods have curved streets, but then you have the poorer areas, and they're all on a grid system. You can tell where you are based on the streets. Both of our neighborhood streets aren't very good.
So there's the north, the middle, and then the south side. Your north side is your rich. All the streets are paved. All the stores are nice. Basically every store that you need to get to is over there. The middle is the transitioning section into the south side, so it gets a little rougher. Some of the streets not great. And then the south side, streets aren't paved. The shopping centers aren't retail centers. It's just oh, here's a dollar store and a Little Caesars. And then a couple fast food restaurants and the gas stations. That's really all the South Side has to offer in terms of okay establishments.
It's not a great place. It's not as bad as it was, but when we lived there, it was bad.
So I got thrown into the Springfield crime rate pretty early on. My family and I moved, and we moved directly into the South Side. Very shortly after we moved into this house, we were robbed. And then not long after that, we were robbed a second time. In a span of 3 to 4 years, my house and garage, we were robbed a total of 6 times. I don't know anybody else in the friend group that I have that was robbed once.
So when I was a freshman, my baseball field was on the south side, actually really close to Nathan's house. We were driving down his road to turn, and my mom sees this prostitute, just out in plain sight, just hanging around the corner. And we're just driving casually. She just goes, "Oh, I went to high school with that girl. Now she's a prostitute." I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
This is gonna sound really weird, and I will explain it as I go. I am very fluent in the prostitutes in Springfield. I didn't dabble in them, but they are all around my house. If you go just down the street from my house, there is a park. Most people go there in order to just pick up prostitutes. I've seen 2 prostitutes fight each other on the corner of the street. They were fighting over turf. One prostitute got arrested, the other one, I guess, won the turf, and then she gets out of jail and they fight again. Now you'd probably think, well, why didn't you call the cops? Well, we've called the cops before on many instances, and for one, it takes 3 to 4 hours for them to even show up, and when they do, a lot of times they just say they can't do anything because by that time the person's either gone or there's just no point in even continuing the investigation.
I think I felt safe in Springfield up until high school, when I think our freshman year we had a big gang fight outside of our high school, and we weren't allowed to leave. I was on a bus trip back from a baseball game, and one of my friends lives only a block or 2 away from the school, up this big hill, and my coach like calms everyone down, and he's like, "Hey guys, so just so you know, there was a stabbing like right by the school, so just like be careful going home." And it turns out it was all on the sidewalk of this kid's house. Like we drove by the crime scene. It was like, "Oh, hey, there's Eric's house. Oh, I see some blood on the street." And then our senior year, there were about 4 to 6 murders in the span of like 3 or 4 months. Like, I remember thinking senior year, the last couple of months, I was just like desperate to leave Springfield. I could not wait to go to college. To Cincinnati, which people usually think is a bad place. But I was like, no, that's my getaway. I want to go to Cincinnati.
I would say I definitely felt a culture shock coming to college and like talking to people who I've met and telling them like things I've experienced and finding out that their experiences are completely different from things that I've gone through.
Yeah, talking to people, I was kind of shocked that they hadn't experienced some of the things that Nathan and I have.
One of the biggest ones was this guy who lived right in front of us in our dorm room. He grew up on a farm. I went over to his house and stayed the night, and he didn't lock the door. And I felt completely unsafe because the door was unlocked, and I ended up locking the door, and he was asking like why the door was locked. And I tried telling him like, where I'm from, if you don't lock your door, it's just a free entry to your house.
I would say that I do feel sorry for people who didn't grow up with our experiences, because I feel like it has prepared me for the real world. Like walking around at night especially, I'm not scared because I've done that before in a dangerous place. And I think that from my experiences in the past, I am prepared to defend myself. I'm hyper aware of what's going on around me. That being said, I also do feel ashamed that I grew up having to learn these things and having to pick them up and deal with them, because I was like a child, and I don't think any child should grow up in a harmful environment. But that being said, I like the person who I am now, and I think that having these like hyper senses is kind of a cool thing to say, especially to people who don't have them and they just like get scared all the time about stuff, and I can just shrug it off and know what to do if I need to. Like, I think that's pretty cool.